Hi, my name's George. I'm one of the main paddle sports staff here at Robin Hood Watersports, and this is a kayak we've been wanting to talk about for a long time. It's called the Cirrus from American brand Aquaglide, and it's their definition of the ultimate super light kayak. Let's be honest, for a lot of people, the portability of a boat is a major factor, and hopefully a boat that's easier to transport, easier to store, you can carry, with simplicity, you're going to use it on a more frequent basis. For people with motorhomes and things, you can absolutely see that too, or perhaps you're wanting to actually paddle in a more remote location where you're going to carry the boat for a significant distance. Most of the boats we do probably sit in the 14 to 20 kilo mark, whereas this one person Cirrus is just 6 kilos. It's absolutely effortless to lift, to transport, to store, so you've got no concerns in that regard. As I say, this is the single person 110, so that's close to 11 feet. They also do a tandem 150, which is 15 feet. Of course, a solo boat comes with a single seat. The 15-footer comes with 2. But it is important to stress that with that 15-foot tandem, you could absolutely use that solo. That's the beauty of an inflatable kayak, is you can move the seat into almost any position, and therefore you can put a single seat in the tandem and get the trim right for your needs. The boat itself is absolutely feature packed, but this isn't a story of compromise. A lot of super light craft that we deal with, such as pack rafts from the likes of Kokopelli, they do tend to be, a story that the weight almost overrides everything. And a Kokopelli pack raft, you can get down to 3 kilos, which it is incredible. But a short, wide boat like that with a very flat hull, it does have limitations in terms of forward speed and glide. And that kind of ability to cover distance with ease, it is something that a lot of our customers and staff would say is a desirable trait. You want to paddle further, see more, but with less energy expended. So the fact that this is still reasonably wide, so it's a nice stable boat, it's forgiving, it's not something that should concern you, but it does taper nicely. It's a low to moderate rocker, so it does go in a straight line effortlessly. Each of your paddle strokes are going to give you propulsion, and you're going to spend less time doing corrective strokes. I do think it's important that we run over the actual physical features of the boat, because there's a lot to talk about, and then we can summarize and talk about who the boat's for, what it's best suited for, as well as just looking at potential advice on paddles that you'd use with that. So I think let's look at the features now. So here we go, starting at the bow. Transporting the boat off the water is obviously helped by the fact that this is a super light kayak, just 6 kilos in this one person model. But you're still going to need to get hold of the boat. So having this front nice rubberized grab handle, it's comfortable on the hands. If you were carrying it with a friend, having a handle like that at the bow and the stern is going to be super useful. There's also central grab handles, so if you're carrying the boat on your own, they're definitely the ones that you would be using. As we move it up a little bit, we've actually got a splash guard at the front. It allows you to maybe pop a little dry bag under there, keep your essential items nicely tucked under there and out of the way. Could even be that if you're taking any cold drinks, etc., it's just keeping them out of the sunshine. For other items you might want to get hold of more quickly, there's these cross-hatch deck bungees. So for instance, if it was a chilly day, but you're not quite needing that splash jacket, you could shove that under there. It's not going to be affected by the wind and being blown around, and it's going to keep everything safe, but also quick to access. There's also a Velcro footrest that you can see just there. It's interesting because a lot of people would say kayaking is an upper body exercise, and predominantly it is, but you should be also pressing off the footrest as you paddle. It puts your power into the boat and means that every stroke you'll gain a little bit more traction. As you can see, given the Velcro nature of this, the footrest can be moved into any position, so wherever you'd like to sit in the boat to achieve trim, however long your legs, you can achieve the perfect position. One thing we're coming to, if you can see the textured floor bladder, this is a drop stitch floor. Most inflatable kayaks use a hollow chamber or one which is divided by simple I-beams. A bladder like that, it achieves a PSI figure from perhaps 1 to 2, most likely 1 or 1.5. it doesn't allow the pressure gain that we'd really like to give us great performance. In contrast, a drop stitch bladder like this is supported with hundreds of strands between the top and the base, and it gives it massive potential for pressure. So you're going to find a number which could well be triple or quadruple that of a hollow chamber. Just at the actual side, there's little mold plates. So they're little clip points where you could put some of the Aquaglide accessories, such as the cup holder, clipping on anything like a safety knife that has a little clip on the back of it. So just really useful, but certainly not adding a lot of weight. The seat itself is a lightweight design, but with clip straps at the front. They are adjustable, so if you want more tension and I suppose more upright angle to the seat, you're just applying more forward pressure. The seat, because of the adjustment, can be put in a range of different positions to suit your leg length and trim, so don't have any concerns around that. Seating is a very personal thing, so we do find some customers in any boat will change from the standard backrest, possibly do a little upgrade if they're wanting a different height or a different level of support. One thing we need to talk about is the fabric of the boat, and that's really how Aquaglide have achieved this super light feel. It's a TPU fabric as opposed to a polyester or a PVC. It doesn't saturate, it's massively quick to dry, and it's super light. But you do find that, many pack rafts and boats that we mentioned, they also are produced in this fabric. It's nice and robust. As with any inflatable, you're going to have to just take a little bit of care around barnacle encrusted rocks and any sharp objects, of course. But it is tough, and you can get out there and have a fantastic time on the water. Moving back a little bit, we've got D-rings where you might attach any of your luggage and dry bags and things in case it was bouncy conditions. You've also got the Halkey-Roberts high pressure valve here. You can see that one with the valve cap on, which keeps sand, dirt and water out. Over here we've just opened one up so you can see the push button internally. These are almost a bayonet style opening. It's a high pressure valve for a premium boat of this nature. At the stern we've then got the splash guard again with the bungee covers and that rear grab handle that I mentioned. On the underside of the boat, there's actually a tracking strake, which is a molded channel, just helps with tracking in a straight line. And you've also got the option to add on a tracking fin. As part of the package, you receive the tracking fin as standard, as well as the single seat in the 110 and 2 seats in the 150. You'll also receive a lightweight premium dry bag style carry case. So if you're putting the boat away and it is a little wet, it's not going to soak your motorhome or your car boot, and then you can just give it a shake off when you have time, perhaps when you get home. I hope that information has been useful. If you do have any more questions on the specific features, then always drop us a mail and we'll get back to a little summary and tell you a bit more about this Cirrus. I hope it was useful running from bow to stern and just talking about the seat, etc. The fact that they've retained the drop stitch floor is critical, so I was pleased to be able to tell you about that and the performance benefits it will give you. Now, as I said earlier, the boat isn't a story of compromise. It's still a really user-friendly kayak, but you're getting all these benefits of portability. The actual width of the boats is around the 35 inches mark, and that has certain implications for the paddle you should choose with this. Yes, I would say that because of the ease of transport and storage, the paddle must be 2-piece or possibly even 4-piece. It needs to break down and maintain that ease of transport. In terms of length, I would say myself that, as a minimum 220 centimeters, but probably more 230, possibly even 240 depending on your height. The paddle length is determined by the boat width, your torso length, and the discipline you're performing in. So a whitewater kayaker will need a much shorter paddle than someone who's covering great distances in a sea kayak, for instance. So yeah, look to a paddle around the 230 centimeters. Let's get one that breaks in two for simple transport and storage. And in essence, the lighter and the stiffer, the better. It's going to pay you big dividends for long days on the water. In terms of buoyancy aids, perhaps something with a slim backrest to integrate nicely with this seat, possibly even one of the high back models so that the lower foam is not interrupting where the backrest will sit. You can actually read a little blog I wrote about the Cirrus. I hope that's useful for those who just take in information better when it's in the written word. and you can see any sort of packages and recommendations we do for this model. It's something we can recommend with absolute confidence because I know how important this simple transport and storage can be. The other aspect that's often overlooked with inflatable kayaks is the drying time. You don't want a boat that takes 2 hours to dry. How are you going to realistically achieve that in the winter months? And with the TPU fabric this uses, it really is something that, you know, there's hardly anything that would saturate. You could shake it off, instantly back in the bag, and you can put it away without having to worry about that. And I hope that means you'll use it more frequently, and it'll also extend your session into the colder months. Thanks a lot for watching, and if you've got any questions, feel free to get in touch. Thank you.